Piers Morgan and Tommy Robinson have had a very long-standing feud. If you don't know about this, it's deep, guys. There is serious lore about this one. Piers Morgan, when he used to have Good Morning Britain, had Tommy Robinson on once, and they went at it about Tommy Robinson holding up the Quran. Check this out, and then we'll get into the more modern stuff.
Would you have a ban, like Donald Trump suggested in America, would you have a ban on Muslims entering the country, new Muslims trying to have a home in this country?
I believe we need to protect the British public right now.
So what's the answer to the question?
British Muslims?
Yeah, we need. Yeah, the British public. I didn't say British non-Muslim public. I said the British public.
Would you ban me?
We've had
Tommy,
three
you're a
terror
straight
attacks.
talker.
Not being killed.
Yes, we all know what's been happening.
Yes, I would. I would stop.
You would ban all Muslims?
I would temporarily halt Muslim immigration to this country until we get a grip of the problem. I differentiate Muslims from Islam.
Right.
Okay?
But what you don't do...
differentiate Muslims
Muslims are people. Islam is an idea.
Yeah.
Islam's an idea. A bad idea.
And
Islam is a
Muslims
faith.
follow.
No, it's an idea.
It's a faith.
It's an idea that you can change your mind.
No, it's a faith. Like Christianity.
Like Scientology.
Like all faiths.
Like
it's a religion, it's a faith.
Like Scientology?
So, Tommy, if you accept,
it's an ideology.
if you're saying that the problem is with Islam, are you accepting that you're Islamophobic?
This is, guys, before Piers Morgan realised that the future is outside of the mainstream media, he was doing all the, and he still does do this stuff, it's ridiculous. Well, where am I going to get my curry from if we get rid of all the Muslims? You know, if we get rid of all the Indians who are over here, well, where are you going to have your curry from? He's that kind of guy. Lives in his white neighborhood, in his big white mansion. Criticizes all of the other people who actually live in the world for not wanting mass immigration. And he was being a real white knight for Muslims here. Going after the Islamophobic Tommy Robinson. Because Islamophobic Tommy Robinson doesn't subscribe to our liberal utopian worldview. So we have to go after him.
Because there are 100 verses in this...
Yes or no?
Okay.
Are you Islamophobic?
There's no such word as Islamophobia. Phobia is an irrational fear. It's not irrational to fear these things. Now, if I hold this book up and say, there will never be peace on this earth... So
that, by the way, is the best retort to Islamophobia. Because phobia is an irrational fear. And actually, there is nothing irrational about fearing about a fully alien culture coming over, that you've had historical context of them wanting to take over Europe by the sword as well. And when these people come into your country en masse, terrorist attacks go up. And speaking of grapes, good day for it.
As long as we have this book, it's a violent and cursed book. That's
wrong. Can
I tell you who said that? Can I tell you who said that?
Can you put
Sir William Gladstone
Right, you
said
wouldn't
that.
do that with...
Sir William Gladstone
Would you do that with
said
the Bible? Show some respect.
Show some respect.
Show some respect.
Have you read this book?
For people...
Have you read this book?
There are over a billion people...
There are 100 verses in this book that incite violence and murder against us.
Show some damn respect for people's religious beliefs, right?
I should show some respect for a book that incites murder against me.
Put it down.
And calls me... This calls me an animal. No, I won't put it down. Sir William Gladstone held this book above his head in Parliament, and he said there will never be peace on this earth so long as we have this book. It's a violent and cursed book. Was Sir William Gladstone, who we have statues across our capital C, was he a bigot or an Islamophobe?
See, now
Winston Churchill...
You're sounding like a complete
Winston
lunatic.
Churchill... No, I'm quoting some of the best leaders in this country's
You're sounding
history.
like a bigoted lunatic.
No.
It's funny how Piers Morgan's been doing the same thing for years. You sound like a bigoted lunatic. It's been his retort for years.
I'm not.
Somebody that basically, you are an Islamophobe who hates Islam.
No, I don't
You basically think all Muslims are to blame.
No.
We've seen you on video saying it. And what you're doing now is deliberately inflammatory. It is deliberately poisonous.
How's this inflammatory?
And you are having the complete opposite effect to the one that you say you have.
William Gladstone.
You are stirring up hatred. You are abusing people's religion. You're abusing their faith. And you're being a complete disgrace.
What do you know about the Prophet Muhammad? We've established nothing. You are ignorant.
I know that you're deliberately insulting
people. What do you know about the Prophet? How am I insulting people?
Who have deeply held religious beliefs.
And
you flouncing the Quran around in your hand in that disgraceful manner is outrageous.
This book is the reason we're in such a mess. No. That's a reality.
No, we're in this mess because people take Islam, they are terrorists, and they abuse the nature of Islam and the wording of Islam, and they perpetrate evil, and it is completely wrong. For you to try and claim that the vast majority of Muslims, who are decent, law-abiding people, to try and abuse and mock their faith and their holy book is an outrage.
Their holy book. When you talk...
I'm so glad that we have Piers Morgan, guys, to be the authority, to be the one who's really, you know, the arbiter of Islam. He is the arbiter of what is and isn't acceptable in Islam, and he's probably read all of the texts and everything, and he knows who is and isn't purveying Islam in a correct way. But could there have been something else going on here? Let's ask Tommy.
So that sense of feeling, when we talk about the moral cowardice, let's look at Piers Morgan, for example. Yeah, Piers Morgan was in charge of Daily Mirror. Are we going to pretend that he didn't know about grooming gangs? Are we going to pretend the head of Daily Mirror, at the height of the grooming scandal, we know Andrew Norfolk knew because he says he knew. Yeah, we know the government knew, we know politicians knew, we know the police knew. Let's not. Piers Morgan knew. They all knew. And what did they do? They shut us down. They shut down the debate, trying to be morally virtue for everyone. Like, we're not like this. It's like most people now. I look at the same people who shut me down now are all trying to be as loud as they can about what happened to the victims. It's like, you knew what was happening. You're trying to rewrite history here. These people you're trying to rewrite history. You knew. Certainly Piers Morgan, the head of a media outlet, knew. I understand how some people in different backgrounds and living in different towns and cities or villages were not aware, but everyone in our towns knew. We all knew. So that sense of...
So Tommy is just going full scorched earth on Piers Morgan in multiple interviews recently, which we'll check out. Tommy goes off on Piers here. Check this out.
Real America's Voice. Now we got to get into it. Tommy, you've had a legendary feud with a lot of people you've had a lot of feuds with, but Piers Morgan, I feel like this is a guy that I think should actually help support you because he is now independent, and for some reason he doesn't want to give you any clout or respect. Why do you think that is? Do you think it's jealousy?
I think he's the establishment.
You think he still is the establishment, though? Because now he is on his own. That's why I'm surprised that he's... No, he's not. He still is.
What does he actually believe? He was pro-vaccine, pro-lockdown, forced vaccines. That's what he called for. Pro-Black Lives Matter. Then he's against Black Lives Matter. He turns like the wind. He spins it. He hacked dead kids' phones. He set up British troops and endangered them with his lies when he was head of a newspaper. He was in charge of one of the biggest newspapers in the UK the entire time that children were being raped across the UK. He knew it's happening. His whole newspapers knew it was happening. They didn't report on it. Yet he wants to come down and attack us. And in my documentary that I went jail for, Silence, I exposed him as the rat he is. I messaged him today. There's a video today of some young black girls beating the hell and jumping all over a white girl on the floor, schoolgirl, kicking her head in. He's silent. They're always silent. But what he made a massive point of was when a little white boy poured a bottle of water on a Syrian refugee, when it was all a lie, he fell over himself to sit on national TV and say, I demand severe retributions against a child who poured a bottle of water in a playground, but you're silent on the actual violence, the actual racism, the of a generation of English girls. You remained silent. You didn't want to ride that wave, but you rode the wave of the saviour of the...
And there is a good reason for this, guys. There actually is legitimately good reason for this. And the good reason is that Piers Morgan, for the longest time, like he said, he's been the head of the big newspapers and he's been a mainstream establishment figure. He's, been at all the cocktail parties and he's dined with Princess Diana and Ghislaine Maxwell and the likes. And this is because in Britain, you have a certain aristocratic class, okay? You have a certain high class over there, highbrow, high class, that is sort of rubs shoulders with the royal family at the very top. And they're a part of this polite British liberal centrist sort of class. And this is what's been ruling Britain for the longest time. Louis Theroux is a part of this class. The people who have this sort of like rational centrist worldview, they're sort of... and you see this a lot. I was trying to explain it the other day to somebody we were watching a video of a British guy who was giving a house tour, and he was very, well, if you come in this way, then we'll have the kitchen. And this person was saying to me, like, why is he so like timid and everything? And I just said, this is just kind of how these British posh people are. They've got this Andrew Gold. If you guys know his podcast, he has a very similar attitude. Louis Theroux as well, very unassuming, deer in the headlights, just posh British, and everything else is so absurd to me, Piers Morgan is sort of a part of that class, and he's really clawed his way up to the top of British society. So the reason why he can't go up against gangs and stuff, for example, is because that goes against the liberal, rational, centrist orthodoxy that he has to be a part of. Multiculturalism has to work. Feminism has to be good. Otherwise, he's far right and he's an extremist. So this is the reason why he would have ignored all these sorts of things, because if they brought that to light, the whole thing crumbles. The whole, rational centrist thing crumbles. And now it really has crumbled, guys. It's crumbled so badly that now Labour and the Tories are now below Reform UK. in the recent election. The two-party establishment has been completely destroyed. So, anyways, that's what Piers Morgan was a part of. Tommy Robinson is more of a Restore UK guy.
Trying to virtue signal to the country. So Piers is a coward. It's as simple as that. He's a coward. When I went on his show last time, it was the most watched episode of Good Morning Britain, and I watched their faces, yeah? So they've called me on, I'm sitting there, I bought the Quran, they don't know I bought the Quran. So they're sitting there, we've had 3 jihadist attacks in about a month, we've had 26 children blown up, and you've got to have the conversation. So I pulled out the Quran, and I held it up, and the fear in their faces, they're all looking like this, like, oh my God. And I can see he's got earpieces in. They're obviously saying, get him and put it down, get him and put it down. And he's like, put down the book, put down the book. I said, no, I won't put down the book. Show some damn respect. I said, show some respect. This book calls for my death like 100 times. Yeah. Why am I going to respect this book? This book's the reason. And we had this big disagreement and big argument. It went viral. It hasn't aged well for Piers at all, yeah? Because all he wanted to do was shout and scream over. And when he had a Muslim, I looked, there was a Muslim woman then that went on that was saying the same, and he just sat there and let her say it. So Piers is a fraud, and when I come out of jail, Piers blocked me after that, and he kept me blocked, and he wouldn't talk about me, and he wouldn't allow me to ever have a say. He'd always do these programmes where he'd talk down about me. When I went to jail, it blows up, it's on World News, Elon Musk sharing it, and then he says, I'll have Tommy on my show when I get out. Yeah. I think, oh right, so you decide, do you, bro? So when I come out, and then he's contacting me with his company, I was like, I'm not being funny, you're back of the queue, mate. Like, I don't actually think you're relevant at all, like, anymore. I don't believe a word you say, and I don't want to give you... I will sit down with Piers at the same time. I will, because I think it'll
I think you should, and I know you know it better than me, because I know you guys have a long-standing beef, and I know how beefs work. It's like, you know, sometimes you just don't even want to give the guy the attention that he wants, because you know that he's going to get clout off of you now. Yeah. But at the same exact time...
No, I win. I know I win. So when I sit down with him, I win. He can't beat the truth. None of them... I don't think I've ever sat on any debate anywhere and lost, because I'm not debating. I don't have to research. I don't have to look anything up. I just need to sit down and I'll talk. And he's not got the winning truth on his side. When I come off of his show that time, he went, Tommy, do you know what? And do you know in the green room, this was on Good Morning Britain, my mate was in the green room. The whole green room were cheering and supporting what I was saying. When I walked out, the staff were all walking out saying, keep going, keep going. So I know there's been this willingness or this unwillingness to say it, but many in the media, many people have been supporting our battle. We've broke down the dam now. We've gone mainstream on our message. But Piers said, Tommy, I agree with 90% of what you're saying. He goes, like, the Quran, really? And I said, Piers, you're 5 years behind. What you're saying now is what I was saying 5 years ago, and you condemned me 5 years ago. In another 5 years' time, you're going to sit and realise I'm right. And I'm right about everything I'm saying. You're playing catch up, yeah? And what you're doing now, and now they're all bending over each other to see who can be the most angry about the generation of British girls when they all knew. You all knew. Now it's fashionable. Now it's fashionable. Like, it wasn't fashionable 10 years ago. You get beat up, you get terrorism attacks, you get all these planned threats, you get violence, you lose your job, you lose your career. Well, lots of people lost their jobs. Lots of people lost their careers. Lots of people got beat up, and it weren't Piers Morgan. Because he didn't... It's not like he didn't shift the Overton window. Nigel Farage doesn't either. They just ride the wave once it's shifted. They're not game changers. They don't change anything. They wait for the conversation to get to a point where it's acceptable and it's palatable. And it's only acceptable to have these conversations and it's palatable because people sacrificed. And it weren't Piers Morgan. All Piers Morgan's done the whole way through this is make a hell of a lot of money. That's it.
Facts. He has made a lot of money off it. All right, so Piers Morgan also replied to Tommy Robinson, guys. Piers Morgan firing back. Surely they're going to have to debate soon.
You know, I watch someone like Tommy Robinson. He's out there absolutely lapping all this up, this kind of chaos, because it plays right into his narrative that the country is being overtaken, in his view, by Muslims, and must do something about this, and by asylum seekers and by illegal immigrants. And I don't like that part of this story either, where people like him get increasing support because people feel that the authorities, the government, the police and others who are charged by the electorate with sorting these things out, in the case of the politicians, and with the police they're paid to do a job to protect us, are failing in their job.
What's your issue with Tommy Robinson, Piers?
This guy is not the little Mother Teresa walking around in bother boots that he'd like everyone in America to believe. And
literally never says that. He never says that he's some Mother Teresa. He's clearly a hoodlum from Luton, gets in punch-ons all the time, been in multiple punch-ons on camera, been to jail a bunch of times. No one ever said that we really like Tommy because he's like Mother Teresa. No one ever said that. Like, when me and Frankie were just talking about this, in the sense that, you know, I was saying before, there's a certain box that you put someone like him in. Tommy Robinson, for me, is in the Voice Against Islam and Gangs box, and he does a great job of that. Would never put him in the moral arbiter box, okay?
So many of them have fallen for this mythology about Tommy Robinson. A, his name isn't Tommy Robinson. Probably should send the first alarm bell. B, he's a convicted football hooligan, convicted fraudster. He's been in jail.
Home mortgage fraud, by the way. Oh, wow. Mortgage fraud. Oh, no.
Recently, not because he was being silenced from telling the truth about anything, but because he continued to promote and propagate lies about a young Syrian boy, right? And so I watch the way he gets lauded in America and I think, well, this is ridiculous. I've challenged him to come on Uncensored again. We had a fiery debate on Good Morning Britain many years ago in which he came on and waved the Quran, which I thought was pathetic, and told him so to his face. So far, he's ducked me. And I think it's because he knows I see through a lot of it. And we can get into exactly why he's just been in prison. Because it's got nothing to do with what he says he's been a victim of, which is the establishment trying to silence him. No, you lied. You got caught lying. You were told if you lied again, you go to prison for contempt of court. You lied again. You made a film.
Yep, the film, exposing Britain and the gangs and exposing all of the corruption behind it. That's what the film was about. Don't forget what the film was about, Piers.
You promoted it. You came over and promoted it. And you therefore were found guilty of contempt of court, my sunshine. So that's what actually happened. And I do think that a lot of his view...
If Piers ever did anything risky, he'd maybe face the same sort of inspection.
...of the Muslim population in this country is driven by genuine... I think he hates Muslims. If he wants to come on and persuade me he doesn't, absolutely no problem. But I'll remind him of all the things he's said and done.
So looking forward to the next installment of Piers and Tommy Robinson. If you enjoyed that clip, then don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you'd like to see another one, click right here.